like to yield time to Mr. Fry.
Gentleman is recognized.
I thank the gentleman for yielding, and I think it was discussed earlier that this was not about politics and that people campaigning for district attorneys were not campaigning on going after the former president, now current president, but that, of course, is belied by the evidence, and I think we have a video to show just that.
Whoever has this job, are they going to convict Donald Trump?
Look, that is the #1 issue. I'm the candidate in the race who has the experience with Donald Trump. We sued the Trump administration over 100 times.
I sued Trump over 100 times and brought a case against the Trump Foundation and held him accountable.
Holding Trump accountable for the Trump Foundation.
From exposing illegal behavior by the Trump Foundation.
I do have a lot of experience with the former president. I led the New York State Attorney General's work and investigation and successful litigation against him and his family for their misconduct with the Trump Foundation. And also we had a number of litigations, more than 100 involving the Trump administration. I led the team that held Trump and his children accountable for their misconduct with the Trump Foundation. I oversaw the work which sued his administration more than 100 times. I led the Attorney General's work on the Trump Foundation case where we held Trump and his family accountable. When I was at the Attorney General's office, I led our work on the Trump Foundation matter. I also led the team that did the Trump Foundation case, and I've seen him up front and seen the lawlessness that he can do. Started out as a civil rights lawyer, then became a federal prosecutor, ultimately was the #2 lawyer in the New York State Attorney General's office, leading the charge against the racist policies of the Trump administration. I believe we have to hold him accountable. I've litigated with him, and so I'm prepared to go where the facts take me once I see them and hold him accountable. Being a rich, old white man has allowed you to evade accountability in Manhattan. That includes Trump and his children, right? We held him accountable in the Trump Foundation case. My office did the Trump University case. So I've seen a pattern of lawlessness over 20 years. And so I'm inclined to believe all I see in the public domain and know that there's, and believe that there's a path forward there to make a case.
So I think we go back to the basic premise of the bill, is that you have a prosecutor in New York who's not worried about crime in New York, Manhattan. He is worried about going after the former president of the United States. Why? Because it earns him political points in a jurisdiction that did not vote for Donald Trump. And so they elected this guy to go after him despite the fact that there are other crimes that you could be going after, but resources are dedicated. And so to sit here today and say that this has not been about politics, this is about fairness in the system, it's total BS to believe that that is actually the case, because he said it 1,000,000 times on television. He campaigned on it, and that is the purpose, one of the huge purposes of this bill, is to remove that from a fairness perspective, that a jury in a federal system, that a different system that is not rigged in a state court can go and have a fair trial. The presumption of innocence is on a criminal defendant, and if we do this for ambassadors, if we do this for sitting presidents right now, why would we not extend that to somebody when they are targeting a former president or vice president?
Will the gentleman yield
for political points?
a question?
And with that, no, I yield back.
Gentleman declines to yield.
To the chair, or to the gentleman from Kentucky.
Gentleman yields back. Gentleman from Kentucky.
Will the gentleman from Kentucky yield? I yield back to the chairman.
All right, the gentleman yields back.
Very unfriendly over there.
The gentleman from New York.
Move to strike the last word.
The gentleman is recognized for 5 minutes.
Get that back. Mr. Chairman, what we saw was Alvin Bragg talking about how he prosecuted as an official, I think in the AG's office, Attorney General, he prosecuted the Trump Foundation. Well, the Trump Foundation, let me read you a headline from December 10th, 2019. Donald J. Trump pays court-ordered $2 million for illegally using Trump Foundation funds. The courts also found that Trump University was a fraud. The court also found, a separate court also found that Donald Trump sexually abused E. Jean Carroll, and the judge said that's the technical term, but most people would consider that rape. So the fact that Alvin Bragg brought up some of these prior actions which he had been involved in and which Trump had been involved in when he was a private citizen shows nothing other than that Alvin Bragg was a proper prosecutor. And remember what he said on that video. He said, "I'm prepared to go where the facts take me." That's what a good prosecutor should do. And that's what Alvin Bragg did. And the facts took him to a hush-money prosecution in which the former president was found guilty on 34 counts. And most of that was done while he was not president. The only reason that this bill comprehends that he did anything while president is that some of the hush money checks were written while he was president after the fraudulent scheme had basically been completed. This shows nothing but that Alvin Bragg is a proper prosecutor, took the facts where he wanted, took the cases where the facts indicated, and in fact, he was very reluctant to prosecute Trump. His predecessor, Cy Vance, had initiated that. He had stopped it and then decided a year later that the facts warranted reopening the case. And now I'll yield to Mr. Cohen.
Thank you. Yield for question.
Yes.
He said something that he prosecuted or